audiences, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you guys are new here, don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 3K. Right, pick up our sponsors, LBR 20 to get 20% off in free shipping on manscaped.com. Also, go check out Fanatics, the official partners of La Liga and Real Madrid. Probably the biggest sports apparel collection online. Go show them some love. Yeah, use our affiliated link so that they know you guys came through us. Also, big up Talksport Fan Network. Talksport, obviously, you guys would be aware by now, unless you have been in a coma for the last 30 years. You can't be in a coma for 30 years, can we, Mo? I mean, Mo is a specialist here in that regard, but Talksport is the biggest sports radio station in the world. Go show some love. Their sport and everything on LBR is officially powered by the Talksport Fan Network. Right, without further ado, there is a reason this title, reads "Played Like a Fiddle." More. Can you walk us through what that means?
Honestly, you would have to do that.
Why do you think I went for it?
I would love to hear that from you, because for me personally, I don't think we got played like a fiddle. What I think was like we were a victim of our own, how do I put it, of our own naivety. So
I think this is textbook relegation side, fighting for their lives, textbook stuff. We see this not just in, the Spanish top flight, across any, league of any stature. This is what people do to survive. And we got played like a fiddle exactly because of that, because they wanted us to do what we normally do against sides that give us space. Do what we usually do, on a Champions League night, where there is a lot more space to be exploited. Or basically, just deem us one-dimensional without any, other avenues that we would even give a second thought, because the amount of times people were trying to, thread the needle, the amount of times people were just eyeing for that perfect execution of a move, we didn't go back to basics. That's why, when the season began, I was incredibly skeptical of the fact that we couldn't get Joselu to resign or, get someone in of a similar profile, because games like this, again, points out a very clear need for someone to be there inside as a presence. I mean, Jude acts like that. He is the sole, savior in that regard when, there is a moment to be capitalized on from a cross or something that falls as a 50-50 inside the box. Jude is there, but apart from that, we lack answers. Again, Carlo, waiting until the 75th, 76th minute for a sub, absolutely criminal. I have no idea what this man is thinking. Francesco on the bench is going. We had one clear chance in the second half. We need to make a sub. He's just pointing out to them. I hope, that's my conscience telling me these guys are, getting pretty worried about the fact that we created just one major chance in second half. We did create only one shot on target in the first half as well. So the picture was already painted, after the first 10 minutes or so for me, because we had absolutely no rhythm, wayward passes from the get-go. Guys like Fede Valverde, the characters that we look up to save a game that is of a kind like what we saw tonight. All those players who we hold them to higher regard, higher standards, not just because of their skill set, but of their mentality, just completely caved in. Yeah, that's my piece, Mo. Talk to me, bro. What went wrong?
I think you made a very good point about the fact that if we had a striker like Joselu, probably would have been better off. We would have somebody in the box to maybe cross the ball into, when we're playing with two fullbacks in Lucas Vazquez and Fran Garcia, who obviously, their calling card probably is the fact that they can cross the ball into the box. But for me, I need to counter that with a question. Even if he had Joselu on the bench, do you think he would have brought him on?
I don't think so. Yeah, that's another
we were struggling. Neither you nor I are we aren't at the levels of managers like Carlo Ancelotti. He's done so great things, and he's achieved a lot in football. So, but even we could see the fact that the final ball was lacking, that nobody was able to make that one extra pass for a striker or forward to be in the right position to score that goal. And I mean, when we can see that, I'm pretty sure that the coaching staff was seeing that. And
Yeah.
what was the change that they made?
Brought on, was it Modric, right?
Yeah, they brought on Luka Modric in the 80th minute, and to do that, they replaced him with, they replaced Dani Ceballos. I mean, what
Yeah.
was that substitution?
They could have taken off Fede. They could have just gone out a bit more aggressive. I think they just, I don't know. Did they fear Espanyol? I have no fucking clue.
I'll put it this way. Yasna. Okay, when I was watching the game, my opinion was the fact that, you know, we had 4 players attacking their back line. We didn't have anybody making that final pass, and the only one who's trying to spread the play was Dani Ceballos.
Yeah.
When you see that there's only one midfielder doing their job, my thinking would be we need another creative midfielder. Okay, maybe Carleto decides to trust Luka Modric. That's fair. Luka Modric, his body of work speaks for himself. So if you're bringing him on, why do you have to take out the only other guy who's doing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned that maybe he could have taken off Fede and brought on Luka Modric. For me, the obvious substitution was the fact that you take off Lucas Vazquez, put Fede to the right, and then bring on Luka Modric.
That's what I meant by the Fede thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so, as noobs, we can see it. Why can't Carleto see it? Why wasn't this substitution made? And Ancelotti made the same thing. When we considered that goal, he decided to take off Lucas Vazquez, shift Fede to the right back position, and then bring on Brahim. I mean, okay, Brahim is a good player, but you already have 4 players who are pushing the back line. You need somebody who can play that final ball.
Take off Vinny, he wouldn't take off Vinny. Take off, Fede,
Vinny thing is I sort of understand why he didn't take off Vinny, because although
we understand,
I said,
everything,
for me personally, Vinicius was a net negative in this game today, and it was clearly was visible that he wasn't really, he completely looked on a different wavelength from the other 3. And he wasn't combining with the others. But still, the thing is, with Vinicius, that there is one moment of brilliance that you can get, So in certain moments, you need that brilliance. So keeping Vinny, okay, I understand that. But in that moment where we needed something different, he brings on Brahim.
It's basically Carlo going back to, what we blame him for, what he's run on for, basically, because...
Yeah, Carleto is this game, it kind of looks like he was, he was struggling, so he decided that he was going to use the players that he trusted. I mean, as a manager, that's what
it's favoritism,
got him the wins. And totally, yeah, you're right, totally right. That that's what gave him the win. So maybe he wants to rely on that. But then this game needed something different, and Carleto, he definitely didn't do that. But that aside, I think you asked me earlier, what was the story of the game for me? That for me there are 3 main takeaways. The first thing was Vinicius was pretty bad in this game, and he completely looked off color. The second thing was Carleto, he needed to make better changes. And the third thing was we don't really want to talk too much about it, but earlier on this week there was a huge conversation about it, about the fact that Florentino said to the new RFEF president that the CTA needs to be reformed, and everybody was suddenly trying to criticize Florentino for saying that. But on the witness of what we have watched today, was Florentino wrong?
He's not wrong, but we can't really hang our towel on that fence and be like, yeah, that was the reason why we lost.
No, man, it's not the reason why we lost, but the thing is, these things keep happening regularly, right? This season it has happened multiple occasions where decisions have gone against, and I understand that. I'm not saying that maybe Barcelona are rigging the league or somebody else is rigging the league or whatever, but there is a certain level of incompetence in the refereeing thing, and I mean that tackle was a red card to everybody. Even Barcelona fans, if you go online on social media, they're saying that it was a red card. And the VAR doesn't even call the referee to have a second look.
I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
It kind of blows your mind. But I don't want to talk about any of the penalties or whatnot, because, okay, there were 50-50 decisions and it doesn't really matter. But that one was one egregious decision that really went against us. And to add salt to the wounds, that guy goes and scores the goal. So... what can you do? It was just one of those days. And for me, as much as I would like to criticize Real Madrid for their dull display, for the lack of creativity that was there, at some points we did get some, we did create some chances, but the balls simply didn't want to go in. So, I don't want to take too much blame off of the players. I mean, some of it was pretty bad, But I think
Pretty fucking bad. Atrocious.
But for me, the reasons for this defeat weren't like, it wasn't totally down to the players for me.
It wasn't, but I'll tell you something. Yeah, if Carlo actually made the subs and actually, was a bit proactive, probably it could have been avoided. I'll be very honest. But the fact that he went with guys like Chouameni again, after, we have seen countless occasions that he is very, very timid, extremely cautious, extremely naive when it comes to defending such a crucial position like the centre back position. Chouameni is not the guy. If we go into City, if we go into Athletic with him as our centre back, it's smelling like we're going to throw away a season that could have possibly gotten us an elusive treble down the gutter. Because when you see him, he lacks the fundamentals. I was here last week. Were you here last week? I mean, for the last Champions League game, you were in here. It was Sahil. This is a man who can't seem to think when he's facing a cross from his other side. He doesn't even have the basic IQ to get in front of his attacker. He's just that bad. Like, you can't really blame him because it's not his position. But if he's doing okay against the guys like Mbappe, it's because the man doesn't jump for a header. I mean, it's an exaggeration to point out the fact that he really doesn't do headers, does he? Vinicius, it's the same. Rodrigo, yeah, probably an exception. But I'm telling you, when Chouameni is facing these guys at centre-back, he's being dealt with a completely different equation in training compared to what he's going to face in the real life. You saw, if you remember, John Garcia, like, brilliant performance, he's highly rated and whatnot. He had a pretty good game. But if you remember that one throw, that's all that took for us to be completely, facing no man's land. Chouameni was basically daydreaming. Like, one ball in behind him was enough.
This was the point I was making earlier on in the season when I said I didn't want Ancelotti to continue. Okay, you like, the point you made is right. Chouameni could have done better over there, but then if all it takes is one throw to get past the entire defensive formation, whatever we have, you don't have to question. Like, for me, the fault lies in the tactics that we're using. It's not just down to one player. It's the plan that has been implemented. What is the scheme that they're using to deal with transitions? I mean, it's kind of like, for me, it's like, I don't really want to go into too much into it, but the decision making, the planning of how the defensive setup should be this season, it has been pretty bad. And to top it all off, Rudiger goes off injured today, and it kind of looks like he's been nursing something for a while because he was playing all bandaged.
Yeah.
Last time I was here, we discussed this, and today finally his hamstring decides to give away, so we don't have Rudiger. You were talking about trebles and Atleti and City. I mean, I don't know, maybe he's gone for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Are we going to rush him to come back again and then he gets injured again? So yeah, definitely the fault, like, it lies with the manager, but it also lies with the guys who are making this team. So another winter has gone by, nobody has been signed, not unexpectedly. We all expected this to happen. So the fault, the errors of the season, they don't really just lie with the players. And then despite how harsh I've been on Carletto, it doesn't entirely rest with him either. Like, it starts with the top, and this season has been like, I kind of told you guys, like, don't. I think the board is pretty okay with not winning a title this season, and so far, how it's going, I guess.
I mean, you can be okay with that as well. I won't be okay because, like, I'm not gonna go on a hunger strike, but I'm gonna completely be honest with what I'm seeing, right, or what I'm feeling, and I'm gonna be like, this is not fucking okay, right, for a club the stature of ours to basically throw away a season which had promise, definitely. And the amount of times our rivals slipped up and we kind of look like, we're going to capitalize and then completely throw it away again, back to back. Yeah. 4-point lead, cut down to 1, and, the pivotal derby next week.
But Sunil, let me just ask you this question, all right? On the evidence of the play that we have seen this season, do you really think we deserve to win the league?
It's not like, I'll be very honest, Mo. You're older than me, right? You're 3-4 years older than me. In life, do people really get what they deserve? I don't think so.
I mean, that's fine. That's philosophical, but it's fine. But do
I'll
you
be
really,
very
when you
honest.
look at
We
this
have to
team and
fight for what we want. That's it. It's not about whether we deserve
no,
or
no,
not.
do you really think, like, do you look at this team and think, oh, these are champions?
I do think there is potential. Definitely, there is a lot of potential there, and
Potential
we have
based
seen
on what?
glimpses of it.
On the play on the pitch?
Yeah, on the play on the pitch. When we win in style, we win in ravaging
Which
fashion.
teams
We
have we
don't win
won
meekly.
against?
I know we haven't really won against the big sides
So,
this season yet.
The teams that win,
But
they win titles, they perform
but-
against the big teams. This team hasn't
But
performed.
remember, Mo, you were the one who were blowing the trumpet of, oh, we lost Cruz. This is gonna be a transition, right?
Yeah,
So
no,
it was evident. of
that kind of leans into it. I'm telling you that, we lost Cruz and the management was pretty okay with not winning the thing. And for me, it seems like they're fine if we don't win the title. As fans, we can be disappointed, and I totally agree with you when you say that, as a fan, I'm not going to be okay with this. But the management has made this decision that, we are going to be okay even if we let this season go down the drain. It's fine. I guess that's the mentality they're coming with. For me, as a fan, I'm definitely not okay with it, and I agree with you. And I can't understand when we start blaming players as well. And I've shared some sentiments about how disappointed I have been with the management of this team this season. But at the end of the day, this team doesn't simply have the tools to win the title, for me at least. And if they win it, it will be a bonus. But it isn't something that I'm expecting to happen.
I disagree, but we disagree on everything. We agree maybe 10% to everything. Basically, you and me, we are from different planets, and I'm okay with it, right? You think we are not good enough. I do think we are good enough. There's a reason why we set a point ahead.
For
despite
me,
the fact that we
individually, we
the
definitely
Clasico.
are good. We have. I do agree with you that we have the better players, but as a team, I don't think the performances are there. So if we win, it's going to be a bonus, but it isn't something I'm expecting to happen.
Even last year, it came down to always with Carlo. If you remember, we lost away at Espanyol, 3 years ago. Right after winter break or something. So this has been a constant.
We
recurring.
lost in Espanyol earlier in the season. It was, I believe, in September, October, and that season, the play that came afterwards kind of justified why we deserve to be champions. And even last season, we towards the beginning we were stuttering, but by the end of the season, we kind of showed our class, and the players were pretty good. And Ancelotti obviously deserves a lot of credit.
A season like the year before, Mo, it's unprecedented stuff. You can't expect any club, not even us, to even kind of come close to repeating it, because we lost one game all season.
I am agreeing with you on that, but I'm just saying that this season, on the balance of the play on the pitch, I don't think that we deserve to win the title. But obviously, we can still go on and win it, like you said, and like I'm saying, that we definitely have the players who have individual quality who can, still pull us through. But on the balance of the pitch, on the play that we have seen so far, I don't really expect us to win anything.
For me, when the lights are the brightest, let's be honest, it wasn't the brightest tonight. These guys, they fail to make the decisions that they do when the stakes are a bit more higher. The stakes are high. Don't get me wrong. If we lost this, people knew well enough that Atleti won against Mallorca 2-0 before kickoff. They knew it, right? But it was against Espanyol, against a struggling side. They thought, as usual, it's gonna be a game that they're gonna park the bus. They're gonna be very dogged in defending, but we're gonna find a way, which eventually didn't happen, right? We'll have nights like these. Like, as much as disappointed and seething I am right now, I do fully believe that this side has enough weapons, right? When it comes to City, when it comes to Atleti, at the weekend, to actually see games through. Like, it might not be as solid as it was last year, but I do think if these guys turn it on,
I agree with you.
there isn't the side.
I agree with you. I think individually there's a lot of talent in this squad. Like, I've said it multiple times, and I'll say it again. Like, 1 through 11, this is probably the best team. But this season, everything hasn't just come together for them, and that is my point. It isn't the fact that these players individually lack something, or they don't really have the quality to win it.
In some games,
individually they do, but for me, this season it just doesn't. It hasn't transpired because maybe there is this one piece or like maybe two pieces that are missing from this team. So that would be my
The
point.
weakness
And
is for
your point
everyone
about
to
the
see.
fact that this season was, this game was like one off. I kind of agree with that because, like I said, there were some chances that we created that probably in a different
It wasn't like
different day or a
where we
different
were.
game they might have gone
Yeah,
in, and
yeah.
the red card that didn't go our way probably on a different day.
We hit the post twice.
It gets given to us. So yeah, it definitely could have been today. And I'm not saying just based on today the fact that I am not really expecting us to win. It's on the balance of the season, and things can change. Obviously, things can change. Maybe this happens to be catalyst, and suddenly Real Madrid, they decide to go on a run. But given on the balance of the play so far that we have seen this season, yeah, I do have my doubts. But like you said, like you're completely right about the team having in the individual quality, the weapons, the tools. There is incredible talent in this team. I mean, we have four players like probably the best in the world. So obviously they can drag us to victories. But let's see what happens.
I'll get to a few of the comments. Big up Ashik. He was mentioning atrocious subpar and terrible performance could be from fatigue and burnout. And when things don't work, changes are needed to be made early during the game, then wait until the 80th minute. Yeah, Carlo. Salah, I think he's trolling, but big up yourself. That's a very valid question. Yeah. Ashik was asking us, do you guys think if it's a burnout factor? Plus, what's up with the process when we don't have any aerial threat like we used to before? It's basically guys reverting to, muscle memory. That's what happens in football, when, you throw the kitchen sink at it.
For me personally, the first half, we kind of look like, especially in the first half, when I looked at Kylian Mbappe, I kind of felt like he was waiting for the game to come to him instead of, attacking the game. But in the second half, I don't really have the same complaints. Was burnout a factor? I don't know. Maybe it was an issue. Maybe they were tired. But I don't really think at this point of the season there has to be a burnout, because if they are having burnout at this point, then the rest of the season is going to be difficult. Having said that, for me, the clear obvious issue in the front line was like Vinicius kind of looked like he was on a different wavelength from the other guys, and that mix wasn't there. And I mean, he wasn't even gelling with Fran Garcia. I mean, so many times he had the ball, he could have passed to Fran, but he decided not to. He was like, at certain points, the same criticism that were leveled against Mbappe in the first half of the season, about him being too individualistic. I kind of felt like that was true for Vinicius today. At some points, he was being too individualistic, and
so was Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, at some
so was
points,
Rodrigo.
Exactly. Like at some point in the game, all of these guys decided, it wasn't working, so they are going to be the heroes, I guess. But to top it all off, like all four of them were pretty poor because they lost the ball among themselves 60 times this game. So that says it all.
I'm pretty disappointed, man, because if a couple of decisions or a couple of decision making from our players like in game is a bit more refined, we win this game easy 2-3-0, because once the first goal happens, it's game over. But yeah, credit to Espanyol, they defended for their lives and they did pretty well. It's another blemish on Carlo, with the fact that this coach really is, compared to him, is an absolute newbie. He got them promoted and whatnot, but yeah, this is his first season in the top flight. So yeah, big up him. This is a dream night for them, and they turned up. We didn't. Right. Ashi was also mentioning he didn't even take off Tchouaméni when Espanyol could have potentially gone ahead, thanks to his mess.
I kind of agree.
Right.
Like I have to ask, like, if he had taken off Tchouaméni, who would he bring on?
Yeah,
there's nobody to bring on. If it was when Rudiger was still fit, maybe we could have said that he could have brought in Asensio. But I mean, Alaba is kind of like half fit. I don't know.
Yeah, there should be a very proactive. There should be proactive measures to actually get guys like Jacobo into the side and whatnot. I know it has been kind of brewing in the scenes behind, but he scored a brace or something, right, against Villarreal. I remember watching it.
It was a week ago.
week ago, yeah, last weekend or something. But we need to proactively, address this issue, because going into the big games, like I've been saying this for time, like our right side looks like it has absolutely no clue how to defend anything,
Can we
let alone
consider the goal from
crosses.
the right side today again?
Yeah, like it is a sequence that we have seen time and time again. Like we just sit there and watch it happen. Like, it is a fucking surprise. Like I've no idea why it hasn't been addressed, or why isn't there, steps being taken to address it. Because,
See,
like, I
that's
do
the thing I
truly
told
believe.
you about, right? That's the thing I told you. Like, for this season, for the man, like, for the board, it's like they are okay with losing it. They think, we have had so many, we have had so many
I
recent
don't want to hear
successes.
that
So
more.
yeah,
It really,
I mean, that's the only answer that can
leaves a bad
satisfy
taste.
you, right? Otherwise, like,
Yeah,
you cannot be thinking
yeah.
that they're not signing players because they think that this team is like fully complete and it can compete. If they're not signing players, then
I do.
obviously it
I
seems
do
like
hear
they,
the. I do hear the fact that we don't have the money that people think we do. We don't have
I
the finances to actually really pursue the kind of targets, the club would really realistically want, of the right age profile and whatnot. I do hear that a lot. So,
I would like to say that hey, if you want to go down that road of questioning about
mm,
the
mm,
finances, then it's going to open a huge can of worms because if we didn't really have the money, what were they doing? Like some of the decisions that they have taken, pursuing certain avenues, you would have to question that. But we don't want to go into that because this is not the scope of this podcast. So
but this is, an atrocity, because this is a side, like, bar maybe, one critical area, right? Like, stuff like what happened tonight, especially, key players like Fede Valverde misplacing every other pass. Like, it doesn't happen every weekend. It doesn't really happen every Champions League night either. It just is an anomaly. Like, I'll be very honest with myself in accepting that, right? But what is a constant theme is the defensive issues. Like, if we can't fix that, like, I can't go into any big game claiming that we do stand a chance. But I do think if those players, guys like Chouameni, guys like Vasquez, if, like, who have shown before, especially guys like Vasquez who have shown before that, when when the occasion calls for it, he steps up his game, he steps up his overall attitude, and puts in a shift to see us through. If that happens, yeah, we might see ourselves on the right end of the scoreline, right end of the aggregate scoreline and whatnot, after a tie. But otherwise, I mean, how much would it take for Matthias Nunes or Haaland, or I don't know, Savio, whoever it is, Atleti at the weekend? Like, they wouldn't find it too hard to basically, do what Espanyol did, do what Bilbao did, do what Barcelona did twice. This is our third, league defeat already, and we haven't even, really fully stepped into February yet. So, yeah. Quickly, Ashik was mentioning the player that should have been sent off ended up scoring the goal. Yeah, big up him, man. He didn't stop trying. He actually got a similar chance. That he blazed over the bar beginning of the second half as well. So the warning signs, they were always there, man. Like, they're always there. Down our right, people just already know going into the game. If it was the other way, a Madrid player had done that, do you think they would have made the same decision? I'm not sure anymore. Like, I don't want to comment on all these, like, I've always been the guy to really focus on what we do rather than, the intangibles that we can't really control. Yeah, we can bemoan the decision, we can bemoan the fact that, there are days we get absolutely pammed because of, the refs being blind. But if we can't really, if the XG in the first half read 0.18, it has nothing to do with the man reffing the game. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Right, Ashik agrees, throwing away the season is not what we do. More, he was mentioning, if we finish at the top at the end of the season, then yes, we deserved it. I don't think Mo is going to come back to this post-match and be like, remember, against Espanyol, I did say that, we didn't deserve to win the league.
no, on the balance of the play this season so far, we haven't. I mean, if we go out and win the title, it will be because the players have massively stepped up, and obviously, like Ashik said, that if at the end of the season we win it, obviously we'd have deserved it. But on the balance of the season, of the play that we have seen so far, we kind of have to doubt it, especially the performances in the big games.
Yeah, the big games just is it really provides some very grim reading, because bar Dortmund, right? I mean, Milan. Can you call this Milan side a big team? My goodness, I wouldn't. But
Before the Milan game, I was pretty confident that we were going to win, but we saw 100%.
Yeah, I mean, but Mo, I'll tell you something, right? Like back then, we didn't have this Mbappe. We didn't have the kind of dynamism that we have right now. Like even against Espanyol, like even
against Barcelona, we had this Mbappe. Against Espanyol, we had at least a Vinicius who seemed to be combining decently with others. Not like
Mbappe stood out that night in Saudi Arabia, though.
But we still lost. So,
but
and the funny thing is, like we kind of harped, a lot about how we were poor on defending from the right side. Having said that, like for the last 2 games, I don't know if you noticed this, but Carleto always tries to play Valverde on the left instead of playing him on the right. It's only like against Valladolid, he put Ceballos on the right.
He switched it.
And then he switched it later on when he figured out it wasn't working. Today again he started with Valverde on the left and Ceballos on the right, and there was an increase, like they emphasized more on attacking from the right. I mean, if you are attacking so much from the right, it's obvious that even you're going to expose it even more. I don't really understand why that was, because this game today, we had like I believe it was like they showed in the infographic around probably around 70th minute or something, and we had 10 attacks from the right and 4 attacks from the left. I mean, Real Madrid's strongest point has always been attacking from the left, and you're breaking away players from their national positions, trying to shoehorn them into the right. I mean, we kind of saw how it works. And then the second thing is the fact that going into January, we knew that right side was Lucas Vazquez and nobody else. So why wasn't it reinforced?
I have no clue. I'll be very honest. I was very surprised by the fact that we were kind of very right heavy tonight. The only logical explanation I can think is the fact that Rodrigo is being rewarded for his excellent run in the league, and basically I have no clue. And the point that you made regarding our right being the most defensively weak, us basically using it as a crutch for our attacking as well. It doesn't make sense. But these guys, they have so much footage on their hands that they analyze and whatnot. So probably they might have seen something on Espanyol's side that really forced their hand, because this is something that is new, right? Like we are very left heavy instead of being right heavy. Right. Farouk was mentioning the stakes were high against Barca twice, Liverpool, Milan, Dortmund, Bilbao, and what happened in those games. I have no answers, but Farouk, we have turned the corner. That's what I believe. Like I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. I do believe that we have turned that shambolic phase, but there is still problems that needs to be ironed out, and I hope it will in the games that matter. But Espanyol was really spirited. You got to give it to them. In no fucking timeline we should be losing to Espanyol, who is fighting for their lives, but they had every incentive to at least get a point. But we gifted them 3. Let's be honest, the defending on that transition, like I'm screaming at the screen. Was it Luka? I think when Luka came on the first 2 minutes, every time he comes on, I've noticed as of late as a sub, and especially if it's past the 75th minute, he just looks like he's off the pace, because it's natural. The game is moving at a pace that he can't really match up to, because he needs to feel the ball. He needs to get into the game. Like it's only natural. He is a midfielder who thrives on basically the feel of the ball. So you can't basically throw him and expect him to basically turn it on from the get-go. So his initial involvements are all off the cuff, completely lacking the the cutting edge that we would need from a sub to change the game. He did change the game against Valencia though, but tonight, like he looked like he was off the pace a bit, and he lost. I think was he the guy who gave away the ball for the transition. I can't remember, but he was right there at the beginning of their transition, and I was screaming at the screen to just pull him down, get a yellow, basically commit a tactical foul.
Maybe that tackle that Carlos Romero made on Mbappe.
I wouldn't say that. Carlos Romero should be fucking jailed for that tackle, but yeah, just pull the man down, pick a yellow, and move on, man. Like, that could have completely saved the goal. And all these guys, they're backing off, afraid to commit. Guys like, was it Fran on the right? Like,
it was Chouameni and Raul Asensio on the right. Fran was the guy on the left.
On the left, right, yeah. All those guys, they looked super
Raul Asensio
passive.
was pretty aggressive in trying to close his man down, but Chouameni, I can't understand because there was nobody behind him who steps in. He leaves a lot of vacant space open for them to attack. But at the end of the day, the biggest surprise, I believe it was even Fede Valverde was involved in that defending the transition. For me, the biggest issue was once the ball went to their right. And they were crossing towards the left. Like, nobody marked the run of Carlos Romero. Like, Fede Valverde, he knows he's there, but he's not doing anything to close that space down. Lucas Vazquez, I don't know where he was. You've kept him on ostensibly as a right back. Well, what's he doing? Why is he not tracking back and closing that space down? Like, as a fullback, he's supposed to do that. But there were only four players of ours who made even an effort to get there. So. What is we kind of keep harping on the same points over and over again, but that's it. That's the way it is. That's just how this game was. So
yeah, Lucas Romero had that comment when like these guys knew what was the best way to get at us, and they executed it. So yeah, gave them all the credit they deserve. Farooq was mentioning. Until and unless there is a moment of individual brilliance, this team won't win 80% of the time.
I mean, that's a totally valid point. This season so far, like you said, we have a wide variety of tools. So going into the season, if you end up winning a title, it will be because of individual brilliance. And to counter that, most people would say that we won titles before, like under Carletto, because of individual brilliance. I do get that, but there has been a systemic solidity, especially defensively, in those seasons that is certainly lacking this season. So we'll see how it goes, man. But yeah, definitely.
I would also back that with obviously Carlo is to blame, but I do think he's being absolutely shafted with what he has at his disposal.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We at the end of the day, this is what happens. There's a big pie where probably some percent of the blame goes to the player, some percent of the blame goes to Carletta, some percent goes to the board for the tools that.
But they're all equally culpable. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, the biggest culprit is the fact that this board has the signings they made, the team that they made. So that's where for me the biggest blame lies, and especially given the fact that we already knew that this was going to be a very busy season. For the past for the past month at least, we've been playing 2 games a week. So why do we have such a small squad? Especially when players like Carvajal, he picked up an ACL injury at the start, and we knew he's not coming back. Militao picked up an ACL injury, we knew he's not coming back for the season, but still we stuck with these same guys. And I mean, at a certain point, you also have to question Carletto, because, like you said, you were talking about how Jacob Ramon, maybe if he decides to play him as centre back, he needs to give him repetitions to, so that he's ready for the bigger games like against Atleti and City. But then the same needs to be said about players like Aragula and Endrick. I mean, they also need some repetitions to be, match fit when it comes to situations like today. And there's earlier on this podcast, we said that Carletto decided to stick with the players he trusts. I mean, if you're not even giving them opportunity to earn your trust, how are you free of blame for that? So for me, I totally understand. And when you say the players also need to do better, obviously they need to do better.
Yeah.
But they're being pushed to their limit. So for me, I don't know how much blame I would put on them.
Carletto is the guy. If he substitutes, Rodrigo, I don't think it'll be such a political issue, but given the recent form he is in, and he looked very bright, I'll be very honest, Rodrigo, he was slow to, start off, but in the second half, he was creating some key moments, key actions, especially, alone. But That's the thing, Carleto wouldn't really ruffle the feathers and basically, pull one of the big three or the big four, if, you
Yeah, I
must
mean,
call it.
even if he doesn't do that, he has to be creative towards the other areas. I mean, like we mentioned, he could have put Fede Valverde earlier on in the right back position and brought on some midfield creativity
Yeah.
to help, but he decided to be more conservative, and it was obvious for me that he was chasing the draw. He didn't really. He was okay with taking the draw and extending the lead to 2 points instead of it remaining at 1. But then that's a call he made. He lost, and I guess at the end of the day he needs to be questioned about it.
Really, he was okay with the draw, yeah?
I mean,
I have
what
no
else would you
idea
say
why
if you're
the
taking off
fuck.
Luka Modric? Like, if you're taking out Dani Ceballos and bringing on Luka Modric, you're taking off the only guy who's being creative. How else would you explain it?
I do go back to the fact that he just doesn't really want to disrupt the whole thing. He looks for players who isn't going to really throw a fuss about being subbed. I do think that is his reasoning, but that's just me.
So, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
all right, like, the Dani Ceballos thing, so he took off Dani Ceballos because he's not going to make a fuss, and he's okay with putting on Modric. I don't really know how to respond to that, man. Like, is this how a club like Real Madrid is supposed to go? If this is how he's taking decisions, do you think he should be there? For me personally, it wasn't that. For me personally, it was Carleto was like, okay, let's put on Modric. Let's see if he can win us the game, because obviously Modric is a brilliant player. He's a Ballon d'Or winner, for God's sake. But at the end of the day, he was like, let's put on Modric. Let's not disrupt the defense too much. The defense is
I don't think he was going for the draw. I never agreed to the fact, but yeah, that's your viewpoint. I get it, but I don't think he was ever going for the draw.
No, for me, the thing is, like, I'm like, he was okay with the draw. He didn't want to gamble too much on, like, he didn't want to gamble too much in a way that would expose us. He was fine if it went a draw. He would obviously be happy if it was a win. I mean, he put on Luka Modric, so there was obviously a chance Luka would create something and we could win. But then at the end of the day, he wanted to make sure that we didn't lose. But sadly, it didn't quite turn out that way.
Well, come the end of the season, these points are gonna accrue for something. These drop points. So we better fix up ASAP. And like there's gonna be away fixtures like these, from now until May, and we need to fix up. And there'll be teams that really frustrate us, really look like they have something to take from the game when on paper there shouldn't be even a contest. But that's how football is, right? The players, I'll be very honest, forcing the issue is nice. Like on days where they complicate stuff a bit more, I do think they try to make it a bit too perfect tonight. But when they don't try, we call it out. But when they act proactively and they carve out chance after chance like they did tonight to a large extent, right? It wasn't exactly the most clear-cut chances, but they did have a very real go at it. So even when you're doing that, I would expect them to have a bit more poise, right? Look for their teammates a bit more, like what Mo was mentioning earlier, going for the Hollywood effort to basically, be on the next day's paper. It would be better to take, take a particular key action with a bit more poise that, like this is the better, better decision to make, apart from being completely completely selfish at times. But like Vinny is to blame, Rodrigo is to blame, Jude, if you remember, near post, he's trying to beat one of the most informed keepers in Europe. I get the confidence, he is the man, right? Like, but on a night like this, I would expect them to but there were chances, if you remember Lucas Vasquez, the cutback, when he sends it over, or was it saved? I can't remember. But the Jude chance, low driven shot to John Garcia's right. He made a brilliant save. So there were chances. Mbappe post, crossbar. I mean, sorry, but man, Rodiger apparently we'll get to know Monday, or tomorrow, regarding how long he's going to be out for. But by the looks of it, he wasn't limping exactly, right? He walked off, but
it kind of looked like he did his hamstring. So hamstrings usually take 2 to 3 weeks, unless they rush him and try to get him back within a week or something like that. And I mean, they sometimes say that the players have an overload and they try to,
Yeah.
I guess, like shorten the recovery or whatever. But to me,
Yeah.
it kind of looked like he had his hamstring done and he was already bandaged up. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing it wasn't something that suddenly came out of nowhere. Maybe he was already feeling something, or I don't know what exactly the bandage is for. But even if it's a hamstring, I can't expect him not to be fully fit, like at least for 2 weeks. So
Yeah. Another thing that could have been completely avoided. Completely avoided. Give the man some rest. Rest Rudiger, but he can't. He can't rest Rudiger. It's almost like he's averse to basically giving people the rest and have a better look at the bigger picture. Because if we lose Rudiger for both of the City ties, it's going to be a massive blow for our chances to qualify. Let's be honest. Like, I don't want all the casuals to barge in later in the comments and at the DMs and be like, how the fuck can you overestimate this City, who is what, fifth in the league, sixth in the league, in the Premier League, haven't really performed that well, crawled over the line and whatnot for the playoffs. But if we are lacking Rudiger, I'll be very honest, with the state our defensive shape is in right now, I wouldn't bet much money on us really, salvaging at least the first leg. And it depends on whether we, give a good account of ourselves at the Etihad. Because if we lose by 3 goals, it can happen. It's football, weird stuff has happened in football. And if we lose by 3 or more goals, we have to have an absolutely clinical game in the reverse fixture. Be absolutely tidy at the back. Like, I can't imagine a timeline where we'll be faultless and basically be blemishless in a Champions League tie. We're gonna go all out for it, and we might concede chances. So, yeah, it doesn't really make me rest easy more. I'll be very honest.
yeah, I completely
But
agree with you. But the thing is, like before Rudiger got injured, I was like suspicious of how this was going to go, and now that Rudiger's injured, I'm even more pessimistic. But the thing is, like earlier in the season, like we discussed this, and
yeah,
for me personally, I've always had this feeling that we don't want to go into the eliminator, and now that we are in, we draw City. This has potentially very it has very there will be consequences if we get eliminated at this stage. So
yeah. And they can very well and truly play the underdog card this time around. City, they are gonna do it. They are going to do it, and they are gonna basically be like, oh yeah, like we are going into this as a free hit. I'm not sure how we'll deal with that, because I don't know, man. I don't know. I just hope.
I
we
honestly
survive
don't
it.
care how City approach it, but for me personally, the thing is like this could have been avoided, but the decisions that were made at the beginning of the season have sort of led to where we are right now. And if it happens that we go out, it would be because of what we did. It wouldn't be because of what somebody else did. So for us, if we go out, it's totally like the blame will totally squarely lie on the club. From top to bottom. Not somebody like, I don't want to say this individual did that or this individual did that, but the fault lies all across the club. Like the players, the management, the board, everybody deserves a blame if we end up crashing out.
Inshallah, touch wood, we don't. May God be with us. May the force be with us. But I do think the weekend fixture is an even more important task at hand, considering where we are at the league. And I do believe if we gain some momentum by beating Athletic convincingly, we're going to carry it forward and be on a stride, be back on a stride again.
For Atleti, I think the blueprint's already been laid. Like if it wasn't already known, the blueprint has like well and truly been solidified today. Like before this game, everybody knew if you kind of choke up midfield up, the team doesn't really play much. And today they kind of laid out the blueprint about how you need to defend against Real Madrid and hit them on the counter. Atleti got a win against Barcelona by just sitting deep and scoring. So for me, the Atleti game, especially if Rudiger is in there, is really going to be dicey.
I think most just posted in the chat that Asensio is going to Villa. Like, I hope he's not raiding the Sun.
It's Marco Asensio, it's not Raul Asensio.
Oh, okay, it's Marco Asensio.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I was like, yeah, that was the last thing left. But right. What was I gonna say? Yeah, man. City's gonna be well and truly dependent on how we deal with the Atleti. And Big up Farooq, he was mentioning no, Big up Ashik, he was mentioning how many catalysts do we need in one season to wake up. Yeah, it looks like we need too many at this rate. Ashik was also mentioning we keep playing this way, then let's keep counting how many more goals we'll be giving up in the next Clasico. I hope it doesn't come down to the Clasico and it is a must win tie. I hope these guys they drop a bit more points, but yeah, I may be asking for too much. Um, Ashik is mentioning what I feel. In big games, we have the small team. I like it to a certain extent. People would call me idiotic when I used to do that, but it just makes me feel a bit more. Maybe it's my
So
personality. I
if
don't
you're
know.
saying Real Madrid going to a fixture with a small team, like how disgraceful is that?
It's not being the small team. Obviously, on a preview, I won't be like, yeah,
No,
like
no,
we
I'm not
are.
saying
Yeah, yeah.
about you. I'm saying if we have this image that Real Madrid is the smaller team in a big game, then how disgraceful is that for the club?
No, the club is never going to think that. I'm just saying from a very selfish POV, my POV, that going as an underdog basically makes me, I don't know, reverse jinx it. I do say, like I'm a bit superstitious when it comes to my club, unfortunately or fortunately. So I do believe that, yeah, playing the underdog card, sorry,
And
works
Real
in my
Madrid, we're
favor.
never underdogs for anything. Like this is the biggest club in Europe. You cannot be underdogs
No, I
in
know,
this
I know, I
position.
know. I'm completely aware of it, and I do behave, when it comes to debates and conversations among, rivals and whatnot, in the same manner. Like, have you ever seen me in a preview? We have done so many previews. We're going to be doing another preview next week with Steve, right? So I've never been like, yeah, like you don't stand a chance, or you're going to be. But I'm very cautious about being overly optimistic. I'll be honest about that. But yeah, Ashi was also mentioning I'm just imagining if Barcelona ends up winning the treble this season that we are dreaming of. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm surely positive, but yeah, Barca would be smiling at what happened tonight, 100%.
I mean, it's
Big up
especially
shot.
funny because the player should have been sent off, scored a goal. So obviously,
Yeah,
his hate watch has been pretty successful there for them.
even more sweeter, 100%, 100%. Sharik was mentioning, hey guys, any updates about Rudy's injury? No idea, man. Um, yeah, the expert with us more, he mentioned 3-4 weeks is the standard.
2 to 3
They might
weeks, not 3 4
2 to
weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
depending upon the injury, obviously. But for
Mm,
to answer this question, we won't know, like you said,
mm,
till Monday, right?
Yeah, Sunday or Monday,
Yeah. Okay.
tomorrow or Monday. But yeah, Ashik was mentioning our defense is so thin that even David Luiz signing wouldn't make me happy at this point. Yeah, it's pretty dire, isn't it? But we do have guys like Asensio who could have subbed in on, who could have been subbed in on and rested Rudiger so that we could have avoided this. It was a hamstring pull that was waiting to happen for like what 2.5 weeks now. But yeah, anyway, Carlo, man, fix up, please, please don't be this stubborn, man. Like save your season. You deserve to really, if you're going to go off into the sunset on a high, and if you're staying to just keep adding to your legacy, because there's going to be a point where the club will decide to let you go. So until then, like I would really hope that he gives us the best chances to win now. Like I get the club wouldn't be too fussed about not winning, but all of us, like we have just one life.
For me, the
Like
thing is
while
like the
I'm
club
awake
wouldn't be too
and
fussed
walking.
about losing, but then
Mm,
they would still sack Ancelotti because there's never been a
mm,
manager who's not won a single
mm.
title and stayed on at Madrid. I don't know in
Yeah,
how many years. So
yeah, yeah.
the manager might
This
be
has never
okay, but
happened.
they're still going to sack Ancelotti if that happens. And Ancelotti's only, I guess, his job depends
Mm.
on winning a title. So
Yeah, 100%, 100%. The style of play isn't up to it. People are so tired about it. A large section of the fan base they just you know stick with Carlo only because he guarantees titles. So yeah, it's do or die basically, man. Again for Carlo, it's getting to that point. I hope we win something big, man. I do still believe that we can win at least one major title, the league or the Champions League. But yeah, Champions League has been something that we kind of do manage to win against all odds. I hope we have another fairy tale written in our stars, and our podcast has a pretty good damn record, right? In the Champions League, We have
2 out
won
of 3.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
So it ain't too shabby, is it? More. So I can bet my money on that at least. So inshallah. But yeah, any final thoughts, more quickly?
I mean, I think there were 3 major talking points in the game. We kind of covered all of those, and hopefully, even we said at the last podcast that we have to figure out there has to be a solution about how all 4 of these frontline guys can coexist. So today the solution wasn't there, but we kind of have to figure it out. And I guess that's the biggest takeaway from this game, because like you said, this might end up being a one-off. So we don't need to read too much into it. But on the balance of how everything has been so far this season, we definitely need to make a lot of improvement.
100%. Yeah, we do agree on some things, people. But yeah, man, big up more, big up people in the chat, big up people who are going to be tuning in later on as well. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being in our backbone over the last 4 years or so. It's been super humbling that you guys always reach out and show your appreciation, show your honest warmth, especially for us, man. Like it means a lot. It means a lot when you guys tell us we accompany you in your daily routines. It's super nice. But yeah, pick up our sponsors as always. Talksport Fan Network, go check them out. LBI20 to get 20% off and free shipping on Manscaped. Go show some love to Fanatics as well. Go show our OGs, Real Madrid Committee. Link is in the description below. Show them some love as well. But yeah, people, probably the next preview would be Monday, I guess. Jacob and Farouk back in the building, so look out for it. But yeah, big February, man. We have to be up for it. I hope this is I don't want to say the call shit, the call stick is done, it's finished, it's finito. This is now or never time for all of us. But yeah, until next time, people. Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Hola Madridistas, I'm back once again to remind you that if you want to help and support this project of ours, this channel, you can do so by going to manscaped.com, using our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. You help us out and you get a cool product. This time I'm here to introduce you guys to the Chairman Pro. It is a trimmer that features 2 interchangeable blade heads, one called the blade foil, which is to get that super smooth baby skin, and the other one is called the stubble trimmer, for if you want to still have that little bit of stubble but look a bit cleaner and fresher. You can do both with the same trimmer. It also features flex adjust technology. It adjusts it to your face, how you shave. You can also lock it for a full precision. The thing is waterproof. You can shave yourself in the shower if you want to. It's completely waterproof. It features 75 hours of battery life, so if you're going on some kind of travel, you can charge it beforehand and it will still have enough battery for the trip. Also, if you're going on a trip, you can lock it so that it doesn't turn on as you go. It has an LED. It's a great thing, and especially now that Christmas is coming up, if you want to send it as a gift to your boyfriend, or if you're a man, get it for yourself or your brother or dad. It's a great gift for any man, and this bad boy can even get up to like 5 days of beard, so you don't even need to trim it down before you can fully shave it. This does it for you. So yeah, get this at manscaped.com. Use our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. That's code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. Thank you for watching, and back to the video.